Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's AMA session, right, with BNB Chain. And we have a special guest today. We have Harrison Seletsky, who is the Director of Communications at NFTrade. Harrison, you want to say a quick hi?
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me, Alvin. Looking forward to discussing NFTrade and our integrations with BNB Chain.
Cool. So for all those that are streaming in, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we have people dialing in from all over the world, so thank you for joining us. Feel free to grab a cup of coffee or tea. We're gonna have an exciting, 1 hour ahead of us. So, I'm an NFT lover, right? And I know there's a huge vibrancy of NFT marketplaces and collections that's happening. I'm keen to hear more about some of the roadmaps and upcoming stuff that's going to happen on NFTrade. And I've been hearing a lot about, just special unique features, which I'm sure Harrison will bring us through. So without further ado, Harrison, please give us a brief lowdown on NFTrade.
Yeah, sure thing. So at NFTrade, we're a multi-chain and soon-to-be cross-chain NFT marketplace platform and indexer. So we index every NFT across all of our integrated chains. We're decentralized and non-custodial, and we handle all of the entire NFT life cycle. So from creation, buying, selling, trading, earning NFTs, regardless of the ecosystem, you're able to interact with it on NFTrade in a seamless and decentralized way.
Very cool. All right, I think we have a presentation slide that we can share over here. So can we get it up here?
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah, so like I said, the first decentralized and cross-chain NFT platform. And our main team, our founding team, we have Ori Levy, our CEO. He's been a Bitcoiner since 2012. Shahaf, who is our CTO, lead dev, really built everything from NFTrade from the ground up. And then I'm the head of comm doing, a lot of the forward-facing, aspects of NFTrade. So we came up with a solution to pretty much handle all different aspects of the NFT life cycle. It started very simply. There wasn't the ability to trade NFTs natively in a safe way. Users would have to do it OTC over Discord or Telegram, and there's a lot of counterparty risk to that. So what started as an idea to integrate P2P swaps became an entire marketplace and secondary ecosystem. So right now we're live on 5 chains. We're some of the largest NFT dexes on BNB as well as Avalanche, number 2 on Polygon, getting ready to add some other chains as well. And whether you're an artist, a collector, a gamer, we create one easy to use solution for you to access all of your different NFTs in one place. So we have a lot of really unique features. One of them, like I said, is our multi-chain accessibility. So especially for these EVM chains, non-Ethereum chains, there's a lot of active users. But as you may know from using different decentralized exchanges, whether it be PancakeSwap, Uniswap, Trader Joe on Avalanche, you have to go across a lot of different hubs, switch different accounts, and it can be very tedious. So we really wanted to simplify that and make it all accessible in one place. One of our main features, especially from the gaming side, is our escrowed peer-to-peer swaps. We're also getting ready to introduce our cross-chain integration, which will allow users from different native currencies to purchase NFTs as well as trade NFTs. So if you have BNB, you'll be able to purchase an NFT on Ethereum natively with BNB, or you'll be able to swap your BNB-based NFTs with Ethereum or Avalanche NFTs. We're also getting ready to release an INO Launchpad, which will give users exclusive access to upcoming NFT launches. We're going to have social features. This is going to be really big, especially for gamers and collectors, being able to chat and interact and really easily communicate with one another. And then we also have NFT farming. This is a really popular feature with games, metaverses, and DeFi projects. And essentially, it's a one-sided staking application where users stake their native tokens in order to earn NFTs. So from the user side, you're able to generate a yield in NFT rewards. And from the developer and project side, you're able to lock up that token liquidity and reward your user base without having to further dilute your token supply. So really nice feature that creates a win-win, for all of them, everyone involved. Here's a little bit of a competitive landscape showing some of our features compared to some of the other top NFT marketplaces. As you can see, the different criteria we listed were decentralization, the ability to create NFTs, the capabilities of multi-chain and cross-chain, P2P swapping, transaction fees, launchpad, and social features. So these are all different aspects we identified as very important for the current and future NFT ecosystem, and we created one place where you can access them all. And beyond that, here's our roadmap for the next year. The most immediate thing is going to be the launch of our NFT Launchpad, as well as additional blockchains to support. We're working currently on integrating Solana, Immutable X, Tezos, and Moonbeam. Like I said, we already are live on 5 native chains, with BNB being one of our largest. We're also getting ready to do cross-chain capabilities with Muon. They've created a really cool standard they call MRC 721, which allows you to interact with NFTs across multiple chains. Beyond that, we're working on our social features, as well as adding more token utility to our governance and utility token, NFTD. And then beyond that, we're also working on an advanced NFT trading platform. This is going to be very similar to a traditional order book, where users will be able to put in buy and sell orders like they would with regular cryptocurrencies, which would really ease the flow of transactions, as well as increase the overall liquidity from within different NFT collections. So yeah, that's pretty much the overview of NFTrade in a nutshell. Very active with gamers, very active on BNB Chain, on Avalanche, Polygon, Ethereum, and Moonriver, and always looking to add features and integrate new capabilities for our users.
Cool. Thanks, Harrison, for the quick intro. And wow, can I say, very, very impressed. It's a lot of features packed into one NFT marketplace. And I think you were showing the competitor chain. And I was just thinking about if there's any other NFT marketplace I could think of with that much features. I don't think so, right? I think you mentioned multi-chain NFT integration, escrow, P2P trade, NFT farming, launchpad, order book. I think I stopped writing after a while. There were too many. But I think these are great, right? And I do think seeing is believing, because you did list out a lot of things. So I would love to maybe for you to share 1 or 2 features on the site itself, right? So that we can see it and remember it better.
Yeah, for sure. Let me share my screen. We can do a quick walkthrough. So we've been live on 4 mainnets since last April. We're one of the more rare projects in the space that actually shipped out our mainnet live before the release of our token. So we're really focused on providing that technological infrastructure. So as you can see, you have the marketplace and the swaps feature. Let's do the swaps because marketplaces are pretty self-explanatory. So right now, like I said, we only have multi-chain swaps, so it has to be within the same ecosystem. So for example, if I want to trade my BNB assets, I can choose the ones I want to trade. Let's take a Polychain Monster, and then let's take a TTK 3 Kingdoms Hero. So that's in our trading bar. Now we choose what we want to trade for. So once you propose the swap, it'll bring up the user's NFT wallet. You get to see all the other NFTs that they have available, and you can pick and choose the different ones you want to trade. Soon you'll also be able to add crypto on top of this to sweeten the deal. So let's say you want to make a counter offer with 1 BNB extra, that'll be an integration. But right now it's just NFTs for NFTs. Once you're okay with the trade, all you have to do is press the trade button, approve our terms, confirm. And then once you sign the transaction and confirm the transaction, it gets sent to the other user to accept, reject, or counter offer. So for the gaming sector, this is a super important feature for multiplayer games, being able to sell your excess NFTs, monetize them, and you don't always have to wait for the liquidity. You can easily enter and exit into different NFTs, different games, much more seamlessly. Beyond that, we do have our NFT farming feature. This is also a really nice feature I was explaining, kind of rethinks how staking works. So this is an example we did with Victoria VR. They're a virtual reality metaverse. And as you can see, there was about 8 million of their tokens staked. At the time, this was about $8 million of tokens we saw staked in the first 11 minutes of launch, and that's locked up for 90 days. So by staking your tokens, you are able to gain whitelist access to their land sale, pretty much a voucher that guarantees that access. So by doing this, the project was able to lock up that liquidity and reward their users. and they made sure that their land sale was going directly to their token holders. So it's a really good way to bypass speculators, bypass flippers, and make sure that your communities are the ones that are directly rewarded and have that initial access to those NFTs. So this is really customizable in terms of what the NFTs can offer. Here's our native NFTrade NFTD token farm. This was a 3D gallery ticket for Starry Nift. It's a really cool BNB Chain project. We also release different collectibles with artists we work with. And then there's also utility NFTs that you can make available, whether it's gaming items, characters, or land. It can be an NFT that gives you early access to new features. An example is one we did with Yield Protocol. So they were initially on Ethereum, and when they launched their BNB Chain integration, this NFT gave those users that beta access, that early access to try that feature out before everyone else. So it's really just a nice way to bring some additional utility to your token and reward your user base, in a really seamless and value-adding method.
That's really cool. And just diving deeper on this, right? Because a lot of topics have come up about what we can do with NFTs, and in this case, like NFT staking, of course. What do you think are some of the best, utilities in terms of staking NFTs that you've come across?
So eventually we're going to introduce NFT staking as well, where users can earn tokens by staking their NFTs. But right now with cryptocurrency staking to earn NFTs, the most evident way is really in the gaming sector. Being able to reward your users and your token holders with NFTs from within your ecosystem is a great way to get them involved without having to give up necessarily too much value on the development end. So it allows you to really reward your user base, make sure they're active, make sure they're taken care of, whether that's characters, land, items, utility tokens that give access to new features. You can really get them involved on any aspect, regardless of if the project's already launched, if it's getting ready to launch, or the different stages of development. So we've had some really, really cool NFTs that have been made available in our farms, and we're always looking to expand into new use cases as well.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. So right now, like how many, GameFi or collections are on NFTrade today?
That's pretty hard to say. So we're an indexer, so we index all available collections. So especially from BNB Chain, you have so many projects, every day can be dozens, 50, 100 projects that are launching. So I would say we probably have thousands of collections. We've partnered with well over 100 different projects, mostly in the GameFi, Metaverse, and DeFi space. But there's new projects coming every day, and it's really cool because the projects can start interacting on NFTrade fully decentralized without our permission. There's no submission process to get your NFTs listed. Right when the collection is deployed, it's automatically indexed and shows up on NFTrade. So you can search by different features and characteristics of the NFTs. You can start buying and selling them. And, it's all very verifiable based on the collection contract address. So, even now, I'm sure since we've begun this conversation, there's been a couple new projects on BNB Chain that have popped up. So, when those are released, go on BSC scan, see the latest ones, and type it in on NFTrade, and it'll be there for you.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Now, taking a step back, right? So obviously, there are a lot of features that you mentioned, and you're going multi-chain as well. Just want to understand, NFTrade's thinking behind the whole NFT landscape. Like there must be certain push or reason, right, for you to accelerate your plans in terms of going multi-chain and in terms of introducing all these features. Like how do you think about the NFT landscape today and the future that we are headed to?
Sure. Yeah. So initially when we launched, we saw mostly profile picture collections. Those were really the things that jump-started the NFT ecosystem. Now we're starting to see a lot of our volume go to the GameFi and Metaverse space. With the release of Axie Infinity and its success, people saw that there's a whole new model for gaming, both for the developers and the players. So whether it's idle games where you're staking NFT characters to earn tokens, or it's more active games like RPGs, MMOs, these multiplayer, more traditional games, there's a lot of ways to really create an incentivization model that works for everyone. So I think that's starting to go really more to the utility side, where you can quantify the value of the NFT. If it takes you X amount of hours in a game to earn a certain NFT and you value your time at, $5, $10, $50 an hour, you can then really understand the quantifiable value of the NFT for you, as well as see the demand and supply economics from the actual ecosystem as a whole. So I think it's really moving towards the utility side. At its heart, NFTs are just uniquely verifiable digital assets. We saw that really take off in the art space, but more and more different companies and different users are seeing that they can really have a wide range of uses. So I think gaming is the next, current and future phase of taking NFTs to the next level. And we'll continue to see that develop both on online games, console games, staking games, and really getting users from all over the world involved. Whether they're players, whether they're doing it to make money, there's really a lot of ways to take it. So I think gaming is where we're headed. We're already starting to see that adoption within the cryptocurrency space, and I think that's going to permeate into the traditional gaming sector as well.
Cool. And that raises a question, actually, maybe two of them, which is, if GameFi NFTs is going to be a big part of the future, do you think that is something that applies to non-gamers as well? So if I don't play this game, do you think there is still a good opportunity for me to invest in this GameFi NFT? And another related question then is, how do you think about the Metaverse NFTs?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's really hard to say now in terms of the long-term value of these different projects and these different NFTs, just because it's still extremely speculative. In terms of the metaverses, I think the land and the different opportunities there do have value, but it really depends the adoption of the users. If you're in a metaverse and there's 500,000 people that are passing your land plot every day, that digital land plot is essentially becoming a billboard where you can advertise to the people that are using that metaverse, whether it be to chat, virtual concert, a conference, or just to interact with friends. So right now, I think it's hard to really determine the exact long-term value of these different NFTs, especially within the metaverse side. But there's a reason so many people are speculating about it, because the general ecosystem is moving in that direction, and there will be successful projects. It's just hard to pick and choose which ones are going to be successful over the next decades when we're still really just in the very beginning space. So for non-gamers, especially people in lower income countries, I think play to earn gaming is going to present a really, really interesting opportunity to monetize your time. A lot of people refer to it as the leisure economy, where you're actually able to partake in these leisure activities and monetize them. So, if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you're playing video games afterwards, now you're able to actually monetize that free time. And in some cases, you might even be making more money than you do at your traditional job. So the more people that get involved in these different ecosystems, the more value that'll be driven, and that'll go back to the NFT holders and the different in-game assets.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to switch over to the questions. There is actually a barrage of questions that's coming in. I hope we can cover all, but I don't think we can, so we'll cover as many as we can. So the first one from the audience. So what benefits does NFTrade offer for its community? And why do you consider people will use BNB Chain instead of Ethereum, right? Is it because of the gas cost, or is it because of other things?
Sure. Yeah, so benefits we offer to our community. Like I said, NFTrade, we're really trying to provide the technical infrastructure for all NFT interactions. So we're decentralized and non-custodial. Unlike many marketplaces, you have full custody over your assets up until the point of sale. So you don't have to actually deposit your NFT. There's a famous idiom in crypto, not your keys, not your coins. So you get to keep control over your asset at all time. We're also releasing a lot of interesting features that we think are really necessary for the space, especially as it evolves. One of them being P2P swaps, our NFT farming, our multi-chain and cross-chain accessibility. And right now we charge 0 platform transaction fees. Eventually we will introduce a transaction fee. But for now, we want users to understand the value that NFTrade brings. So we're making sure to make it as seamless as possible. For your second question, I think the BNB chain growth is very obvious for a lot of reasons. And I think it's evident based on the types of projects that are launching. So on Ethereum, the gas fees are a super, super big hurdle. If you're doing hundreds of transactions, which you would be doing if you're doing an on-chain game, on Ethereum, that can cost you thousands of dollars. It also has very slow transaction finality compared to some of these other EVM chains. So on BNB chain, you have very, very fast block time, very, very cheap transaction cost, and a super robust and active ecosystem. So it kind of is the perfect mixture of features, especially in the beginning while these different games are, finding their footing, to make it available and low risk for users.
Cool, great answer there. And as NFT traders, like we want to have ease of mind, right? That a transaction is not going to cost us like hundreds of dollars or even tens of dollars. So the cost matters a lot. And I think just coming from the BNB chain perspective itself, I think this year is going to be huge for the NFT landscape. Already there are a couple of like partnerships, creators that some are announced, many are not announced, that are coming onto the BNB chain. So lots of exciting projects are going to come on board this year. And I think the other one is, we are the largest blockchain, right, by daily active users. And a big reason why so many people are on the blockchain is because they're playing games or they're interacting with like different interactive devs. What that means is that there is so many of this, whether it's games or different experiences, where they're also introducing NFTs, right, which become pretty significant, right, in terms of both the numbers and also in terms of the community that that people will build around these NFTs. So I'm super bullish about NFTs on BNB chain landscape this year. So looking forward to more people joining us.
So wait.
Actually, you mentioned just now about $0 transaction fees, and that is not common amongst marketplaces today, right?
Yeah. I think we're the only one, especially out of that top tier NFT marketplace list. Eventually, we do have some things we're working on the back end to drive that transaction value back to our platform users. I don't want to give too much detail yet until it's finalized, but we're working on some really, really cool economics that are going to make using NFTrade actually beneficial for you as a trader, as a seller, as a buyer. So for now, zero platform transaction fees, but when they get implemented, they're going to be significantly less than what's currently available through other NFT marketplaces. And we're going to make sure to drive that value directly back to our platform users.
That's great. And, thank you, I guess, on behalf of all the audience for always thinking about the traders, all right, who are using your marketplace. That's great news. Now, there is quite a number of people who are very interested in the Launchpad. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, so we're getting ready to release an INO Launchpad initial NFT offering. Eventually, we'll also support IDO's initial DEX offerings as a decentralized exchange. But essentially, users will be able to use our native token NFTD to gain access to NFTs at the ground floor price. So the cheapest publicly available price. Usually these NFTs are extremely sought after, whether you're signing up for whitelist, grinding in the Discord, doing all these different aspects to gain access. So just by being an active member in NFTrade, getting involved in the ecosystem, you're going to be able to get access to these really, really amazing game projects, profile picture collections, utility tokens, and more. So this is something we've been working on pretty much since the end of last year. We're kind of in the final stages of the development. So I would say Q2, of this year, we'll have it live, hopefully in the early part of Q2. But just to give, a little bit of room, we're definitely going to have it up by, within the next couple months.
Cool. I feel like asking, what are you guys not building right now? Because it seems like a lot is on the roadmap.
Yeah, we're an ambitious project. We're not really necessarily focused on the next celebrity drop, this or that. We really want to provide the necessary infrastructure. So that's really all we're focusing on right now, is building what the community is asking for, and then what us as NFT enthusiasts, gamers, and so forth, what we see as necessary for the ecosystem. And then we're able to get feedback from our community, understand their needs, and then grow together.
Okay. There are a couple of them who are curious about what are the 1 to 2 killer features of the project. I think you've mentioned quite a few, right? So maybe I'll turn it around a little. And which feature do you think is most popular or most used on the site?
Yeah, so our swapping feature is super popular and getting more popular by the day, especially as more gaming projects are coming to fruition. Multiplayer games where you're earning items, you might have multiple items. You're really able to exit in and out of those assets, and especially in ecosystem like BNB Chain, where there's so many other projects, you're really able to get exposure across the entire ecosystem. Beyond that, one feature I'm really looking forward to is our cross-chain integration. This is really going to desegment the entire ecosystem. Being able to trade your Bored Apes on BNB, and stuff like that, I think is really going to give access and make it easier for a lot of people to get involved on NFTs, whether they're a beginner or, a whale.
Cool. So coming back to the swap a little, I think we saw a little bit of that on the demo just now. And does the collections I want to swap for, do they need to be integrated with the platform, or as long as the NFTs are listed, I can swap it?
Yeah, like you said, as long as the NFTs are listed, you can swap it. So right now, our swap feature is only available for ERC 721 or BEP 721 NFTs. We're working on 1155, which is a newer NFT token standard. But like you said, once the collection's deployed, users have full access to be able to swap, search, buy, sell. We're really trying to just be more of a service where we're not, there's no application to be listed on NFTrade. To get verified, we do interact with the different projects, but you can be an anonymous developer, build up your community and never talk to us, and have millions of dollars in trading volume, just like that.
Wow, that's great. And how do you ensure there's sufficient liquidity, right? Especially when it comes to P2P trading.
Yeah, so as you may know, with P2P trading, it really depends on the supply and demand economics. So that's not something we're directly involved in. It really depends on the community. So for some games, you see a lot of hype right off the bat, a lot of velocity in terms of trading, buying, and selling. And then that can taper off if the project doesn't develop itself. But we don't really we're not a market maker on NFTs. We just provide the infrastructure for P2P interaction. So it really depends on the users and the community to develop that liquidity on their own.
Cool. Switching gears a little onto this question, does NFTrade have any staking tiers for NFTD?
So yeah, when we launch our launchpad, we're definitely going to have different tiers. The more NFTD you hold and a different threshold will give you greater access. Something that's different from INOs, initial NFT offerings versus IDOs, is that you can't really divide the NFTs up as much as you would a traditional cryptocurrency that can go, to 1/1,000,000th of a token. So it's going to be for INOs, it's going to be more of a lottery system where, for example, if we have 1,000 NFTs to make available and there's 5,000 interested users, depending on the amount of NFTD you hold, you'll be able to have a greater chance of getting access to that. And that'll also be weighted. So over time, even if you're a smaller holder, you'll have a higher chance over time to get those NFT access eventually based on, the INOs you were able to already participate on and the future INOs that are coming up. So we want to make sure that users across the entire ecosystem are covered, whether they're, big bag holders or really just introductory token holders.
And actually, have you kind of analyzed, your user base? Is it more of gamers? Is it more of like newcomers? Is it more of like, frequent NFT traders? How do you segment your audience, right, when you think about adding value or features to them?
Yeah, so I would say our audience primarily are DeFi users. They're pretty active within the broader NFT and crypto ecosystem. A lot of them hold NFTs across multiple chains. They use applications and games across multiple chains. This is a good and bad thing for us. It's good because we're able to get, very involved with our core user base, but there still is that technological barrier to entry that the entire market is kind of trying to overcome, make it easier for users to access. You have to buy your cryptocurrency, you have to download MetaMask, you have to transfer it to your MetaMask, you have to buy your NFTs. There still is a long process in order to be able to actually utilize these applications. So right now it's mostly gamers and DeFi users. We're seeing a lot more gamers come into our marketplace, and moving away from those purely collectible NFTs to those utility-based NFTs. So really, we're just listening to everyone, and eventually we're going to have, different types of marketplaces for if you're an art collector or if you're a gamer or if you're looking to say, get utility and DeFi NFTs, you'll be able to go to different sections that make it easier and more comfortable for you to access.
Cool. All right, there's another question, and this is probably on the other side of the equation, right? So we've talked a bit about the marketplace features, we talked about demand and supply from the user side. This is more on the creators, right? Does NFTrade have any plans to attract more artists and creators, right, who many times may not know much about crypto or NFTs? And do you have any programs, or how do you think about bringing more creators and artists to your platform?
Yeah, so yeah, we're actively working with a couple artists. We have a really, really easy creation process. So it's pretty much drag and drop. You don't need any technical experience, and it's fully decentralized. So there's no shared collection. It goes, it's minted via IPFS. The user has full control over the collection contract, and they can do this all just by dragging and dropping on our interface. We're also working on an education platform that's going to be kind of an A to Z of NFTs, where you can come in as someone that doesn't even know that NFT stands for non-fungible token. And at the end of the course, you'll be able to create your first NFTs, play these games, buy crypto and interact with them. So we're kind of just want to provide the framework. So regardless if you're a beginner, you're an artist, you're someone that's more involved, you can kind of pick and choose where you want to start on the education program and walk yourself through to become, not necessarily an expert, but have a strong understanding of the space. So we're definitely open to working with artists. We are in contact with a lot of them, and we do help facilitate them. But we really just want to provide the infrastructure so that artists, even without technical experience, can come and mint their NFTs, with little to no barriers.
Cool. And I'm just curious, right? As you talk to these creators, what do you think usually goes on in their mind? Like, what are the 1 or 2 key considerations they have, right, before deciding, all right, I'm going to mint an NFT?
Yeah, so a lot of them are worried about the actual exposure they can get. And, if they're going to put in so much time and effort, how are they going to be able to actually market themselves? Because there's a lot of great artists that, still struggle to get that exposure kind of in the traditional space where there aren't as many gatekeepers, but to make yourself known, you really have to push. So whether that be working with other projects, working with marketplaces, and, aligning your incentives to grow, that's something they're focused on. They're also understanding the best way for them to produce it on different chains. So for example, why would someone want to use Ethereum versus BNB Chain? What are the different benefits? What are the communities like? How receptive are they to art NFTs versus utility NFTs, and so forth. We also have a lot of users and artists that are curious about the environmental side. There's a big narrative in the space about proof of work chains and their environmental impact. So they're interested in understanding proof of stake chains, how it works, how they can kind of lower their footprint, their carbon footprint. So we provide a lot of different options, to make it customizable based on their needs and how they want to approach to their community.
Yep, I think often many people would confuse, right, proof of work and kind of put that perception on many chains out there, when actually many chains today are moving to the other modes, right, like proof of stake, for example. And I know NFTrade as well. There was a recent green initiative that you guys did. Do you want to share more about it?
Yeah, so we partnered with Broccoli. They're a green metaverse on BNB Chain, and we were the first application to integrate their API. So right now it's live on BNB Chain only. We're going to be bringing it to our other chains as well. But for pretty much $1 to $2, you have the chance to offset your entire transaction in terms of carbon footprint and actually become carbon positive. So you can plant a tree on each transaction, and therefore you're not only offsetting, the impact you would have on the environment, but you're actually positively impacting it. You're creating something that'll, long-term reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, make everything a little bit more safer, a little bit more greener. So on any BNB Chain sale, you have the opportunity to do that. It's fully optional. So we just want to make it available to our users that are interested. We don't want to force it on them. And it's seen a lot of great success. The people are really happy that it's there. Even if they're not always using it, just to have that opportunity and know that it's there is reassuring and can bring, value beyond just the actual transaction, the monetary aspect. You're actually able to do something that's good for, the greater good.
Great to hear that. I think we need more such initiatives, right? like these are important, and I think we got to show as well, like, yes, there's a lot of things that happens in the blockchain world, but we care about the community as well. And so I think this thing that you're doing sets a very good benchmark, right, for the other decentralized apps that are thinking about doing good as well. So really deserves applauding. Some people are, obviously worried about trust and safety when it comes to NFT or maybe any crypto trade in general. So how are you guys thinking about it?
Yeah, safety is super hard in this space, essentially because you're kind of your own custodian. So if there's a problem, there's not always someone you can go to for help. It's kind of on yourself. So we try, through our education program that we're releasing, we hope to be able to make people more aware of the different safety protocols, what they can do to make their assets safer, whether it be cold storage, whether it be not connecting your wallet to every single application or signing every single transaction. But essentially, we're just providing the decentralized infrastructure. So I can't speak for other, dApps and ecosystems, but at NFTrade, we want to give the user as much control over their wallet, over their NFTs as possible, and stay hands off so that, if you're on a centralized exchange and there's a hack, the end users are the ones that get hurt. But if there's no assets on the exchange to take, which is in the case of decentralized exchanges that are non-custodial, like NFTrade, there's not as much of a risk because there's no way to access those NFTs or those users' assets unless you actually give the permission as the user. So a lot of it's going to be awareness, just making people more aware of the possibilities, the scams out there, and the due diligence they need to take in order to avoid them.
Cool. And I always say, it starts with education as well. So all the audience that's listening, you got to be careful as well. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of tweets out there, right? Just educating what are the red flags that you need to be careful of, what you should be watching out for. So I think it always starts with user education. But that's a great answer. And it's good to hear like every application is thinking about security in a very, very strict way, right? To protect the consumers, which is great. So there were a few questions asking about how you can actually get a prize for today, which is a proof of participation attendance, a POAP token. So this is basically, if you're interested in getting that, please do ask the questions in the Google form, right? And the questions that we'll pick will actually get a prize, right? So we'll move.
We're gonna have two. We're gonna have two different popes. We're gonna have one that's anyone that asks a question gets it, and then we're gonna have one super rare one for the questions that are chosen. They're really, really cool NFTs. We'll release them after on our Twitter, but the form is available there now. I think it's also in the link below. So fill it out, put in your address, and get a really cool NFT.
Wow, I'm looking forward to it. Like maybe I should be getting one because I'm asking the questions as well.
Send the address.
Cool. So moving. Oh, cool, very cool. There is a lot more questions, so I'm just gonna keep going. I think one is about the life cycle of NFT collectibles. That's interesting. So we're not going to go into like speculation of NFTs, of course, but do you think NFT collectibles have a kind of life cycle?
Yeah, I think for now, especially, you see a very big wave life cycle where there's a lot of initial hype surrounding different projects, especially from the purely collectible side, because the value is pretty subjective. There's no real way to quantify the value of a piece of art except for the demand and supply economics of the community. So a lot of people will speculate off the bat, drive the price up, for specific collections, and then that may end up falling over the next couple months as the cycle kind of gets quieter. People are moving on to the next projects, but the ones that really do have that strong community can make sure to continue to bring value to their holders, whether it be through whitelisting, integration of different games and metaverses. Those are the ones that are having that long-term success and sustainable value. So I think the best thing to do when you're trying to evaluate the level of the NFT life cycle is go into the different chats, whether it be Discord or Telegram. Make sure you see how the community is interacting. Are they building tools around their ecosystem? Are they integrating with other projects? Or are they just speculators looking to flip it and move on to the next project? So you want to watch out for the waves because they're definitely there, and they can be like a tsunami where it goes up high and then crashes. and a lot of people can get burned, but that also gives a lot of opportunity to buy when people are speculative and don't know if it's going to go long term. That's where you have the opportunity to get in at a low price if you trust the project and think it can grow, and have that value establish itself over a longer period of time.
And this reminds me of recent Twitter threads, right? A lot of people have been discussing collections that increasingly there are some collections that become really, really successful from day one. And many people feel that that is actually, good for the collections, but it's not healthy in general for the whole marketplace. Just because then, you get a lot of people trying to replicate that. But when you think about the really successful ones, right? Like Bored Ape, for example, it took them quite a long time, right, to build that kind of community. So just want to get your thoughts on that. What do you think of that discussion?
I totally agree. It's hard to say, because when you do have that high value right off the bat, it brings that level of exclusivity that might be attractive to higher net worth individuals and speculators, but that might not pan out over time because those people are expecting it to continue to go up in value, and that isn't always the case. So for Bored Apes, it was very organic. It started out small and it was able to develop over time. So continuous community growth can be really good, and it may be better for a lot of projects to start off a little quieter and then build up steam over time versus starting off really hot and like a volcano, they explode and then they kind of quiet down for a while. And when that quiet period goes and people are losing thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, then they start to get skeptical, and they maybe they want to exit the collection long term. So it's hard to say which one is going to be the most successful long term in terms of steady first or starting off hot. But like you said, we are seeing a lot of projects that start off really hot and then fizzle out fast. And some of these smaller projects that start off smaller but more community run, community focused, those are the ones that are generating a lot of long-term value.
Cool. And when you mentioned community focus, right? I guess I know what you mean, but it can sometimes be a very big term as well, because people are, community can mean I'm shouting out a lot on Twitter, I'm chatting, we have a lot of moderators in Discord. In your mind, what does community building really mean?
It depends. If you're a game, it's much easier to have that community because it's a shared group of like-minded people looking to accomplish the same goals. And that can also be same in the art space, in the PFP, profile picture collection space, but it really depends. For me, when I say community focused, I want to see people that are active and that are happy to promote the NFT, are showing it to their friends, are sharing it on their Twitter, regardless of the price. Because there's a lot of collections that'll start off, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, and people want to show it off to flex, but they're not really involved in the community. They just want to show others that they have it. And then over time, people move on to the next collection with that same level of hype. And then the previous collection doesn't have that community, continuity. So it's more just about activity, seeing people that are interacting with each other, maybe building applications around the NFT collection, getting it involved in other spaces. You can see a lot of our projects, they'll have community built features, whether it's rarity trackers, whether it's different ways for you to monetize through an actual token connected to the project. So that's what I like to see. I want to see building of the community regardless of the price. And I think that's a really good indicator for potential long-term success.
Cool. Another question, and this is slightly related to NFTs, I guess, is more on your future prediction of GameFi. Do you think there'll be more adoption, or do you think it's headed the other way?
Oh yeah, I think there's going to be massive adoption. Even, there's the play to earn aspect, and that involves sometimes purchasing NFTs. You have to put up money up front, but now we're starting to see a lot of free to earn, where it's more of the traditional space where you're not actually paying to get involved, but you're still earning value over time just by doing what you're doing anyway. So I like to compare it kind of like to the Brave browser, where you have different browsers that all do the same thing, but Brave is able to return some of that value back to the end users. And by doing that, it drives users to continue to take part in those ecosystems. So any of these AAA studio games, if there's a different incentivization model where the users control the assets, the users can monetize themselves, and it's not just a monopoly by the developers, for me, that's an obvious value driver. And I think we're going to continue to see these different incentivization models come to fruition. And eventually it's going to, permeate that mainstream gaming space. So a lot of gamers are skeptical of play to earn gaming, a lot of the traditional gamers, which I do understand. But eventually there is going to be that seamless introduction where users are going to be interacting and playing with these NFTs, and they may not even know that it's a blockchain-based application. They're just going to be earning. It's going to be very fluid, and they're going to be creating that value for themselves that traditionally they would just be leaving on the table or leaving for the developers.
I think that's so true, and I've been talking to a few like AAA studios as well, right? And they are early releasing some games, and they look great, and at first glance you wouldn't even know it's a blockchain game under the hood. So it's going to be that way. I think a lot more game studios are thinking about the experience and the gameplay first rather than the tokenomics. I think you have to balance both, right? But I think in the past, when they first all grew and started, it was a lot of more focus on the tokenomics and the earning part rather than the gameplay part. So it's good to see this shifting. And of course, with that shift, it also means that there may be more interesting NFTs, right? Because the NFTs are not just an entry ticket to start earning. I think you'll start to see like there'll be interesting NFTs. It could be for your armor looking nicer. It could be customization just because you feel proud having a different kind of armor on yourself. But this adds to the gameplay experience, right? Which I think has been ignored when GameFi first started, and I'm glad to see the shift over to the other side.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you look at games like CSGO or Fortnite. CSGO does give more opportunities for user to monetize, but on Fortnite, people are willing to spend significant amounts of money to earn different skins, other customizable aspects that can just be deleted at any time. So even just being able to own that, and over time it'll get rarer, it could be more sought after. That right there is a very obvious value proposition to gamers. So even without the actual tokenomics model, there's so many different ways that NFTs can bring value to gamers, and that's going to start becoming more pervasive.
Yep, really excited about the future. All right, we are reaching the 45-minute mark, so I'm just going to ask maybe 2 or 3 more questions to end it off. One is some of them would like to know about the team, especially founders' background from NFTrade.
Yeah, so our founder and CEO, we have 2 co-founders, our CEO and CTO. Our founder and CEO is Ori Levy. He's been a Bitcoiner since 2012. Been really involved in the crypto space from the marketing and PR side. Helped start a PR firm around the crypto space. Was really big, helped leading up into the ICO space. And he's also a gamer. So NFTrade actually came from like I mentioned, CSGO. He's a CSGO player and saw the ability to trade NFTs on marketplaces. Not NFTs, traditional gaming items, but that wasn't available in the NFT space. So by making, that first feature, being able to have escrowed P2P swaps, it kind of grew and thought, okay, what's the other features we can offer to these gamers and these users? And that's also where I came in. When I started with NFTrade, the PFP hype was still there. It was mostly about the profile picture collections, but I really saw the GameFi space as the immediate future for NFTs. So we were really building up that infrastructure. Our CTO, Shahaf, he's a wizard. He pretty much built the infrastructure for NFTrade almost by himself over the course of maybe 6 to 8 months. And now he's running our entire development team, leading everyone. We have a team of devs that are working on all of our different integrations, different features, multi-chain accessibility. So we have a really nice combination of blockchain native people and just traditionally technically advanced people, so we can understand what crypto people want, as well as the traditional gamers and users and people that might not have been exposed to NFTs in other ways.
Cool. Looks like very strong credentials and founders. I guess that's why you guys are building so many things and delivering them. On that point, I guess I come to maybe my second last question, and that is from your roadmap, and maybe because people have been hearing about the ambitious roadmap you have over the next 1 year, how confident do you think your team is, right, to achieve all this this year?
We're very confident. Most of the stuff that we've mentioned is already in the building phase. We already are working on Solana and Immutable X integration. That should be live within the next 2 months. Our NFT Launchpad is probably 85 to 90% done. So that'll also be available in Q2. And then we're also working with other third parties. Not everything we're doing is in-house. We're kind of weighing the pros and cons. If it's something that's not available through other applications, we can always build it ourselves. But there's a lot of mutually beneficial growth within the space. So we're able to work with other partners as well to help speed that up. But pretty much everything I mentioned, we've already started in one way or another. The year is still young. We have a long way to go. But everything that's mentioned on the roadmap will be done by 2022.
Cool. Very, very happy to hear that. I guess my last question is maybe more for the audience. So if I'm new to NFTrade, I do want to do something like NFTrade today, like any advice?
Yeah, first get your Pope, and then you have an NFT, you can start trading right away. So free NFT, no transaction fees. That's simple math right there. Beyond that, we have our education program coming out. That's going to be really, really great for new users. We have a really extensive blog, maybe 180 different posts between different partnership announcements, marketplace overview, ecosystem overview, really can walk you through every different aspect of the NFT ecosystem, pretty much from the beginning of 2020 to now. So we have a pretty wide source of resources available. Everything is kind of just click and drag. You don't need to be super technical to use NFTrade. As long as you have a MetaMask wallet or a Coinbase wallet, even a hardware wallet, Trust wallet, something like that, you can start interacting. So you can start browsing now, look into our different collections, look into the individual NFT assets, and you don't need to connect your wallet to do that. You don't need any crypto to do that. You can start browsing. And then, like I said, claim your free Pope NFT, and then you can start selling if you want.
Cool. Thank you, Harrison. Thank you, everyone who dialed in. You heard it. It's as simple as that. Go claim your POAPs, right? And just go and browse the site. So thank you again, everyone, for dialing in. It's been a pleasure, right, hosting this session. I think I enjoyed a lot and hearing, a very, very ambitious roadmap. I think that is definitely the one key takeaway that I got from this session. And wishing you all the best. I would love to see these features coming on. There's so much benefits, right, to the BNB chain users. So looking forward to that. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, Alvin. Thanks, everyone. Come check us out, nftrade.com.
All right. Bye.